guys starting to notice a lot of consistencies with all these protests and what's going on around all of these college campuses? A lot of the same stuff, right? And you may be asking, well, what kind of the same stuff? We'll take a look at the tents. He tweets this out right here. The tents are identical at every single school. Either they all coincidentally ordered the same tent or a single source is paying for all of this to happen. Look at this. Rochester, University of Michigan, UPenn, Emory, Columbia. They all have the same green tents with the gray bottom. You see it? You are just waking up and living under a rock. These are the campuses around the country where this is going down. Check it out. MIT, Harvard, Tufts, Brown, Yale, NYU, Columbia, Bernard, UT Austin, University of New Mexico, University of Michigan, right? Everywhere. And some other interesting things are these same signs are showing up. Look at this right here, the exact same sign, one in Columbia, one in Harvard, two separate states. How do they get coordinated if it's not someone at the top paying for it all? All the Americans are sitting around going, wow, there's a lot of coincidence between this and the Summer of Love when there were bricks and all kinds of stuff left on those street corners. Well, now we're seeing that. Look at this. Now take a look at all these supplies. Take a look at how nice they place all of these signs upside down, ready for the grabbings, right?
Okay, folks, so it looks like we're right. A lot of people have been asking, where are all these protests coming from? They sure seem a lot alike. Like that guy said there, it sure seems like it's not just coincidence that these protests are all happening. It's protest season too, so they always have to wait till spring because it's too cold in the winter to protest. And that's why I don't believe most of the protesters are in it as a form of commitment or loyalty. Because if they were, they'd do this in the winter too. They'd be strong enough to go out there and freeze their butts off for a cause they believe in. But then again, there are there's another segment that has a vested interest in making this happen, and that would be like Islamo-totalitarian type people. And who really are like, hey, we do want Islamic supremacism over the world, to everybody to be Islam, and we're going to impose Sharia law. How fun, you know? But yeah, George Soros is also, he's playing a big part of this, of course, as you saw that guy explain there, all these patterns. It's called pattern recognition, and that's when you start to go, no, this is no coincidence. This is paid for from the top down. This is not an organic movement. So let's look at this. George Soros is paying student radicals who are fueling nationwide explosion of Israeli-hating protests. And mind you, George Soros is Jewish, but he has a very strange background too. When you hear his story about how his story about when he was 12 and he helped the Nazis go from house to house and root out all the other Jews. He's a strange person, if you haven't noticed already. So George Soros and his hard left acolytes are paying agitators who are fueling the explosion of radical anti-Israel protests at colleges across the country. The protests, which began when students took over Columbia University's Morningside Heights campus lawn last week, have mushroomed nationwide. Copycat tent cities have been set up at colleges including Harvard, Yale, Berkeley, the Ohio State University, and Emory in Georgia, all of them organized by branches of the Soros-funded Students for Justice in Palestine. And at some, students have clashed with police. So another subsidiary of the Soros Foundation. He funds anything that will undermine or cause the destruction of a Western country. One of these is the Open Society organization, which is meant to open up all borders. It helps with a lot of funding for illegal immigrants, criminals mostly, to get into the United States. And of course, as at some of these places, of course, we've seen students have clashed with cops, plenty. So the SJP parent organization, again, that's the Students for Justice in Palestine, has been funded by a network of nonprofits, ultimately funded by, among others, Soros, the billionaire left-wing investor, the lizard guy. At 3 colleges, the protests are being encouraged by paid radicals who are fellows, apparently, of a Soros-funded group called the U.S. Campaign for Palestinian Rights. Remember again, Soros is Jewish. His family is Jewish. But and if you anytime he's been called out for stuff, he'll pull up the anti-Semitism cloak. Who like, hey, that's anti-Semitic. But I'm like, no, I don't believe you like anybody. I believe he actually has a hatred. I know it seems weird, but like a self-loathing, a hatred of like Jews as well. I believe any group, anybody that he deems in his way for somehow deconstructing Western civilization, he believes them to be an enemy because that's his role. His role is to play the devil, to destroy society and civilization. Doesn't matter what the cost, doesn't matter how many lives are lost. This is the big new evil is NGOs. They really are. USCPR, which is this Palestinian group, U.S. Campaign for Palestinian Rights, provides up to $7,800 for its community-based fellows and between $2,880 and $3,660 for its campus-based fellows in return for spending 8 hours a week organizing campaigns led by Palestinian organizations. They are trained to rise up to revolution. So let's take a look at this. This is where the document is. Says, so this is their fellowship, I guess. And you can see some of it. Sorry, my head's kind of blocking some of it, but you can see this is their fellowship info session slides. Build from below, led by people with the greatest stake in ending oppression, people who are poor or working class, black, brown, or indigenous, immigrants or non-citizens, queer and or trans women or non-binary. This is so weird because I know that this is the Palestinian group, but I know that these people, queer, trans, these people would be thrown off roofs and murdered if they were in a Middle Eastern country and probably Gaza or Palestine for sure. But they're using these people, they're using the trans community, they're using the LGBTQ community right now as dupes. But once they got their way, they would get them out of the way. They'd be like, you're gone. You're going, we're going to jail you. We're going to, throw you off a roof. I'm just saying this is what Sharia law demands. Okay? And you've got quotes from, people like Ella Baker, Our Organizing Theory, Exposing the Violence at the Root, White Supremacy, Settler Colonialism, Capitalism. Okay, so you get the point. The radical group received at least $300,000 from Soros Open Society Foundation since 2017, and also took in $355,000 from the Rockefeller Brothers Fund since 2019. Oh, who would have guessed the Rockefellers are involved? They financed George Soros and Wall Street moguls financed radical anti-Israel groups behind campus protests at Columbia. And this is surely an idiot right here, a dupe right here. Because this guy, as soon as they get their way, say they got their whole totalitarian one world control, this guy would be purged immediately. They would dump him. He's a dupe. It has 3 fellows who have been major figures in the nationwide protest movement. Nida Lafi, a former president of the University of Texas Students for Justice in Palestine, was seen at an encampment at University of Texas, Dallas, making a speech demanding an end to war in Gaza. Why don't you go over there? Why don't you go help them? Lafi, a former legislative intern for the late Democratic Congressman Eddie Bernice Johnson, no shocker, graduated from the school last year with a degree in global business and is now a law student at Southern Methodist University in Dallas. Okay, so this is Lafi, right? I guess, yelling right here. That's what I assume. Let's see, in January, she was detained for blocking the route of President Biden's motorcade after he arrived in Dallas for the funeral of Johnson, her former boss. At Yale, USCPR's fellow Craig Burkhead Morton was arrested Monday and charged with first-degree trespassing when SJP's branch, Yalis for Palestine, occupied the school's Beinecke Plaza, the Yale Daily News reported. Burkhead Morton, also a former intern for a Democrat, Maryland Representative John Sarbanes, emerged from custody to address a sit-in blocking traffic in New Haven. So there he is right there. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, dude, seriously? Trying to look like a revolutionary right there. Trying to look, he's got that 70s kind of Black Panther feel to him, although he's a cuck. I think a Black Panther would have more balls than he would, but he's a cuck. The most high profile of the fellows is Berkeley's Malak Afana, co-president of the Berkeley Law Students for Justice in Palestine. She has been a serial speaker at an anti-Israel protest on campus this week, which came after she first shot to prominence by hijacking a dinner at the law school dean's home to shout anti-Israel slogans, then accused the dean's wife of assaulting her when she asked the radical to leave. Well, of course. How, though, if you really do care about Palestinians, how does going to the law school dean's home help this in any way? It does not. That's because this is about a revolution, folks. This is not about helping people. This has nothing to do with helping anybody. This is about overturning this current system that we have right now and ushering in, as I say, ad nauseum, a totalitarian regime. That's what they want. That's why they want the from the river to the sea. Yeah, wipe out all infidels, Jews, Christians, whatever, and let us usher in Sharia law, and all women will be wearing burqas and habibs, and you'll have no human rights, I promise. You will have the human rights that they have in Saudi Arabia right now, which are very limited. The cash from Soros and his acolytes have been critical to the Colombia protests that set off the national copycat demonstrations. 3 groups set up the tent city on Colombia's lawn last Wednesday: Students for Justice in Palestine, Jewish Voice for Peace, and Within Our Lifetime. At the Gaza Solidarity Encampment, I guess which is like an autonomous zone, apparently, students sleep in tents apparently ordered from Amazon and enjoy delivery pizza, coffee from Dunkin' Donuts, free sandwiches worth $12.50 from Pré à Manger, organic tortilla chips, and $10 rotisserie chickens. Oh boy, the suffering, huh? Man, the immense suffering. Okay. Okay. An analysis by the Post shows that all 3 got cash from groups linked to Soros. The Rockefeller Brothers Fund also gave cash to JVP. The fund is chaired by Joseph Pearson and includes David Rockefeller Jr., a 4th-generation member of the oil dynasty, on its board of directors. The nonprofit gives money to sustainable development and peace building. And a former Wall Street banker, Felice Gelman, a retired investment banker who has dedicated her Wall Street fortune to pro-Palestinian causes, funded all 3 groups. Well, there's what they're eating. Some pretty decent food, man. They got rotisserie chickens, Pré à Manger sandwiches. They got Dunkin' Donuts. Yeah. Man, these guys eat better than I do. Shoot, I should go protest. I should just show up and start getting on somebody's shoulders and waving signs, because, man, there's some pretty good food. Let's see, both, and I assume, too, there might be some decent dating opportunities, too, at these protests. Like, if you're a young guy, some of these chicks, they're probably kind of cute. Not all of them. No, not at all. But I have a feeling there's guys there that are strictly going to these protests just for that, because they're like, yeah, maybe see a little action. Who knows? Both SJP and JVP were expelled from Columbia University in November for threatening rhetoric and intimidation. JVP blamed Israel for the October 7th Hamas terrorist attack that left 1,200 Israelis dead. Interesting conclusion. Israeli apartheid and occupation and United States complicity in that oppression are the source of all this violence. They called a terrorist strike on Israel in a historic win. There's more Dunkin'. So if you want some pretty decent coffee, and I'm not a coffee drinker, but I have heard Dunkin' actually has pretty good coffee. So an analysis by the Post shows how Soros and Gelman's cash made its way to the students through a network of nonprofits that help obscure their contributions. Oh, really? Of course they do. Well, we found out anyway, and good job, whoever wrote this article, good job for doing a little deep dive, because everybody suspected it anyway. Let's see. And I consider it kind of a thing, laundering your motives. That's what they do. They launder their motives by funneling it through several, maybe 2 or 3 nonprofits, and that helps kind of obscure the source. But somebody did a good job. Soros has given billions to the Open Society Foundations, which his son Alexander, who's an idiot, whose partner is Huma Abedin, Hillary Clinton's top aide, and the estranged wife of perv Anthony Weiner, now controls. In turn, Open Society has given more than $20 million to the Tides Foundation, a progressive nonprofit fiscal sponsor that then sends the cash to smaller groups. And there is this nasty piece of work right there. Satan's little brother right there, that little lizard turd. These groups include a Jewish Voice for Peace. Yeah, we got that. Okay. Which has received, between 2017 to 2022, has received $650,000 from Soros Open Society. Its advisors include the academic Noam Chomsky. Oh, of course. Boy, Noam Chomsky, man, he's gone totally off the rails. He's always been off the rails a little bit. And the left-wing feminist author Naomi Klein. JVP has been a prominent part of the protests, and one of its student members was among a group expelled for inviting the leader of a prescribed terrorist group, Khaled, to the Resistance 101 Zoom meeting. Something useful for society. That's not what these people are going for. No, they're not taking like how to do finance, or how to support yourself, or how to get a job, or how to build something. Engineers, these are engineers, doctors. This is not these people. Some of them are, but they've ditched that for this type of stuff, like constantly being an activist investor, things like that. Soros has also donated $132,000 to the Westpac, called in full the Westchester People's Action Coalition Foundation. And whenever you see these terms like Westchester People's Action, when you see that people thing, that usually indicates it's got Marxist roots. Let's see. The White Plains-based nonprofit was founded in 1974 to rally for civil rights and against the Vietnam War, but is now a major funder of anti-Israel groups, including Within Our Lifetime and Students for Justice in Palestine. Students for Justice in Palestine has also received funding from the Sparkplug Foundation, a New York-based nonprofit run by Gelman and her husband, Yoram Gelman. The couple funneled their $20,000 donation to the group through Westpac, according to public filings. Has been slammed for its support. Okay, and of course, here's the picture of the Rockefeller. This is the 4th generation Rockefeller right here, who's contributed money. And seen with daughter Ariana, 4th generation scion of the Standard Oil fortune. Okay, and they're donating money too. And this is Felice Gelman. This is the investment banker, activist investment banker, who's donated money, like $20,000 for Students for Justice and stuff like that. So anyway, I'm going to finish it right there. But those are the principal details. And here's something interesting too. I found this. This is called Crowds on Demand. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this, but this, I have a feeling, this is very weird. Protest rallies and advocacy. Organize rallies and get media attention for your causes and candidates. Request a quote. Contact us. So we can help organize rally, and this is a company, and you can have artificial support for your cause. So if you don't have enough money, if you don't have enough people for some type of protest, you can hire these guys, and they'll rent a mob and send them your way. You can do 1,000 people, whatever. They'll rent a mob, send it your way, and then you can give a speech, and they'll all cheer, and they'll put up tents, and they'll have pre-made signs. Yeah. It's not, there's nothing organic here. Whether your organization is lobbying to move forward healthcare, financial, energy, or other social initiatives, we can organize rallies, get media attention for your causes and candidates. We also assist individuals, companies, and political organizations with protests and picketing campaigns. We've protested governments, corporations, and everything in between. Oh my gosh, so this is like a commercial off-the-shelf protest package. Like I said, rent-a-center version. Okay, so if you need to hire protesters, we can get a crowd on the street, sometimes within 24 hours time. If you need speakers to present at a council meeting, we can provide talented and well-spoken individuals. So not necessarily people who believe in your cause, but they're well-spoken. They are just, you can rent loudspeakers. I mean, you can do all this stuff, and you've got this prepackaged combo of ready-made protest. We have a dedicated team of phone banking staff who can call congressional offices and convince government officials to support your cause and help you overcome opposition. If you need lots of letters and emails written from constituents, we have a network of tens of thousands of individuals. We provide a cost-effective way to lobby government to pass it. Now, I don't know what you feel about this. I feel it's a bit of a sham because it's not really organic. The people there are not there because they feel very strongly about it. On the other hand, though, I don't know, if you had the money and you wanted to have some influence, I guess you could. I mean, they've done some, I would assume they've done some stuff that's pretty shitty, but I also believe their stuff, they have this thing, crippling a child molester owned business. Well, I don't know. That's not so bad, but I don't know. But this is just so weird. And when you see that it's supported by About Us, see who we are. It says, this guy looks like a supervillain, doesn't he? Adam Stewart is the founder and CEO. And remember, mind you, this is out of Beverly Hills, California, I think is where this place is. So only in Beverly Hills could you do this, you know? I don't think in most places in the world you could do something like this. Like people would be like, I gotta work, man. I gotta go to work. Sorry. If I don't go to work, I'll get fired and then I can't pay for my bills. So Adam Stewart founded Crowds on Demand as a college student because he was useless. The same speech by a politician has a different meaning if it's given in front of 1,000 people instead of 10. Oh, this is funny. Gosh, I think the dog therapist is more useful. That dog therapist on TV or cat therapy, whatever. So yeah, as featured on CNN, the California Sunday Magazine, The Atlantic, of course. Yep, there it is, Wilshire Boulevard, Beverly Hills, California. So anyway, let me know what you think, folks. Of course, we found the culprit. We knew it was the whole time. It was George Soros that was funding a lot of this stuff, some others, but of course we knew he's behind it. So anyway, thanks for watching, folks. And if you like the video, please put a like on it. Please subscribe if you haven't, and I will talk to you later. Bye.